Hey everyone, welcome to the M&R Show. I'm Ron.
And I'm Malcolm.
And we're back today with the NFL episode. We're just doing three teams that we both think had a great offseason. We do share one team in common that we both want to talk about, but we also have two other respective teams per person. And Malcolm's going to start.
All right, I'm going to start from my other one. I think it's Arizona Cardinals. If you look at this team was 8-8 last year. You've seen the potential with this team, and especially with Kyler Murray, especially took another step in the right direction. Coming into next year, you're bringing in guys like J.J. Watt to help out with Chandler Jones is coming off injury, which I think that's a massive improvement for their pass rush. But their defense has improved, and they improved on some depth. They signed a guy in James Conner, which will help out a lot. I think this is more going to be focused on the coach, Cliff Kingsbury, and see if he's able to take this talented roster to another step. And I think that's what the GM is looking at. He's giving these guys, especially with Cliff Kingsbury, so many toys to play with, and they gotta nail it down. They have to have another step, and I think that they're going to improve as much this season. The next one is the San Francisco 49ers. They improved basically off of health. They barely had anybody playing last year, and the fact that they was able to still be in playoff hunt is magnificent. This year, they made a big move coming up for Trey Lance in the draft, which will be very good for the future. You still have Jimmy Garoppolo coming in fully healthy for the first time, coming into the season. You have that roster, still that defensive line that's coming into help, and these guys are going to be very good. I know that you have one decline as in, Robert Saleh going from, San Francisco to the Jets. But at the end of the day, you still have Kyle Shanahan, who's a mastermind offensively. And I just think that San Francisco really takes an improvement based off health.
Yeah, I know Arizona, they did get Rondale Moore in the second round, which I think he's a gadget guy, but if any coach can make it work, it's probably going to be a coach that coached in college, that coached players of his calibers. I think that's a really good fit. Didn't really like that first round pick with Zaven Collins. Like the player, just didn't like I just don't understand that him with Isaiah Simmons pairing was a little weird to me. But since he weighed in at 260 pounds. When Isaiah Simmons is also 245. So to play two linebackers that are that big, they're both pretty athletic, is definitely going to be interesting. But at the same time, they also have Budda Baker. This is going to be just a team of freaks, it looks like. A team of just players that can just run and cover. So if that's the goal, to be like a hybrid defense, maybe it can work. But and then with San Francisco, top 5 roster in the league. You still have Ayuk, Debo, Jimmy, Trey Lance, signed Trent Williams, signed Jason Verrett back. It's also a very sneaky move. Signed Jimmy Ward back. So San Francisco is going to be a very good team this year. Now, really, it's just when does Trey Lance play? Does he play this year at all, or does he just, or do they just wait till Jimmy G gets hurt? Because we all know he usually gets hurt at least once a year, and then what happens then? So it's like if Jimmy G gets hurt, do you throw Trey Lance in there, or do you throw another QB in there, just let Trey Lance in for a whole year? That's my only question about San Francisco. But all right, now for my two teams besides our one common team, my first one is the Chiefs. I just had to give a shout out to them because I think this is probably the best O-line rebuild I've ever seen in my history of watching the NFL. Orlando Brown was a top 5. When he was a left tackle, he rated as a top 5 left tackle last year. Not for an easy team. This team runs the ball a lot, so to be a mauler is not easy for Lamar Jackson. And he's going to try to improvise, he had to block for a long time. So definitely not an easy job, but he did excellent, just as good as, almost just as good as Ronnie Stanley, of course, until he went down. Signed Joe Tooney from New England. You got Kyle Long out of retirement, Austin Blythe, and then you drafted Creed Humphrey, who was a number 2 center or number 1 based on, injury because of the Dickerson's ACL tear. So you signed the number 1 center you drafted the number 1 center in the draft. So this is just one of the best jobs I've seen done from a rebuilt offensive line standpoint. So I think that was just an amazing job by Brett Veach, the GM for the Chiefs. Then my next team is going to be the New York Jets. Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson. They're getting Marcus May's contract underway. They also still kept Quentin Williams. I really like what they're doing there. And then Robert Saleh, I think, was just the best coach available. And that goes to their offseason, their rebuild. And they fired Adam Gase, which I think automatically gives you at least a C offseason grade.
Hey, that gives you Adam Gase out. Anything else you do, it doesn't matter. That's A.
Yeah, that gives you base C level. But I think Elijah Moore was a absolute steal. He actually reminds me a lot of Crowder I think maybe he has a little bit more outside receiver potential, but they have their similar size, similar mold. They also still have Crowder, so I would love to see how you play two receivers that are both 5'9" or under. I think Crowder might be even 5'8". So that should be an interesting pairing. But they also signed Corey Davis. They still have, they're working on Denzel Mims. So I think the team has potential. I mean, Jets fans, 6 games would be a win this year if you won 6 games. But at least you see a plan. Versus in the past, Jets kind of just were doing stuff, but there was no overall plan. So I think we actually see a plan that the Jets are trying to implement.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely see what you mean for the Jets. It's definitely an upgrade for having a different head coach other than Adam Gates. As you can see what Miami's doing right now, they're looking great right now ever since they let go of Adam Gates. And the Jets are feeling amazing, and they never started a game yet because they're happy because they're done with Adam Gates. So that's understandable. You bring a well-respected guy in Robert Saleh. That's why I said the only thing about San Francisco is the subtraction of Robert Saleh. With injuries, Robert Saleh still had these defense still heads over heel over everybody. Still a top 10 type defense. So just imagine what he can do with the Jets when they have so many problems going on with the organization in and out of the year. So that's another thing to look for. For Kansas City, you're right about the rebuild. I really do like this offensive line now. I think it's gotten a lot more better. They was able to let go two tackles based off cap casualty and be able to find 2 better ones. I've never seen that before, but that shows towards them win now. So that's something that I have to understand. They're putting all their chips into the pot. It's understandable because they have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So
yeah, and the last thing about the Jets, I forgot. They did draft Elijah Vera Tucker. I think that's also a heck of a move. He's probably the number 1 inside offensive lineman. Him, or if you count Slater as an inside offensive lineman. So I think that was another sneaky pick. It did trade up for him. Wasn't the biggest fan of the trade up, but if you see an all-pro potential guard for a young quarterback, I can't be mad at that.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't be mad at that either. But for our last team that we all had to choose, it has to be the Cleveland Browns. That's just one thing that we all have to understand. The Cleveland Browns team, they have improved on all types of levels. They added a guy in Jadeveon Clowney so he can be a bookend to guys with Myles Garrett. Jadeveon Clowney is not going to be that big pass rusher set type of guy, but he's able to hold the run defense, which was horrible last year. They did good. They got a guy in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who, slid down in the draft, which, in our past episode, we talked about that more about how, he was sliding down. So if the guy to pick up Joe, the JOK, that's a very good value in the second round. So I give props to, Andrew Berry, especially what he has been doing, especially for this Cleveland Browns team ever since he's been hired. He has really changed this Cleveland Browns team, and they are the top team in the AFC North. Yes, I said it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The Browns probably have the best roster in the NFL. Like them and the Bucks, I can say, they don't have a miss on this whole roster. The secondary was kind of the second DM was kind of Now you signed Jadeveon Clowney. Well, like you said, worst case scenario is gonna be a top 10 run defender. That's the floor for him, and we know he'll get some sacks. Now he doesn't have to be the main guy. They also got John Johnson, a steal. They needed a safety. They signed John Johnson. We all know he as a free safety in like the Earl Thomas-esque role, he's elite. Can he drop down, play slot corner? He's not good at that role. But right now they still have Greedy Williams. They signed Gavin Newsom, who was our number 4 corner, if I'm not mistaken. So they got Gavin Newsom, which I thought was also a great fit for the team. They still have Denzel Ward. So I think the team is really good. And then they had a weak spot at linebacker. Well, because they only had one good linebacker, and they signed JOK, who can also cover as well, so also helps them with coverage. So I think they just had an amazing offseason. And it's crazy because the Ravens also have an amazing roster, but this roster is even better than the Ravens roster. Now, of course, the quarterback is probably a big gap, which will probably separate them possibly. But regardless, Odell also is coming back. We saw what Jarvis did, Rashard Higgins, and they still have Donovan Peoples-Jones. So this team, watch out for the Cleveland Browns. We don't talk about them much in the show, but they were rated me and Malcolm's number 1 offseason before we even said anything. We just both came to the conclusion they had the number 1 offseason, so we both had to say something about them.
Hey, this is the first time we even seen Cleveland have this opportunity where they had a best offseason. They can be able to sit back and relax.
Yeah.
Cleveland has changed since the past couple of years, and I think that we talk about Baker Mayfield, especially we had criticism for him, especially in his second year, because it was a way drop off based on his rookie year, the promising results that he had. So now that we see Baker Mayfield had a good year last year, and he's bringing the guys and Odell back, I think that we're just going to see the reason why he was the number one pick in the draft. Like I'm trying to excited to actually see what Baker Mayfield can do with a stacked receiving core and have a competent offensive coordinator who can be scheme things open so he can really make Baker Mayfield take that next step.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, because for Baker, I think for him to win, he's really just be like Alex Smith-esque. I mean, and just elevate when needs to elevate, because if he just stays, just don't throw a pick, they'll probably win dang near every game. Like, the team, they have Kareem Hunt and you have Nick Chubb. So not only do you have Nick Chubb, who I think is a top 5 running back, you also have Kareem Hunt, who's probably a top 5 running back. He's not in a situation to really show he's probably a top 5 running back. But realistically, when we know he's Kansas City, he was a top 5 running back. You have 2 running backs that can go for 1.4K rushing, and they both can catch. Of course, we know Hunt is more elite at the skill set. And then you still have Austin Hooper and Njoku. So you have 2 good tight ends. They have a great offensive line. So realistically, this is, like you said, this is probably the best team in the North. It is Cleveland, so it's like the Clippers. Like you just don't want to give them too much, because you never know. It's like they are cursed or something like that. So I don't want to just give them too much early, but I'm just going to say they have the best roster in the North.
Hey man, let's just hope to see what Cleveland has in store, though.
Yeah,
so, we'll see though.
All right, well, just make sure you all follow us on YouTube at M&R Show. Malcolm Continue our Instagram and Twitter.
Hey, so thanks y'all. Continue all for the support. We really appreciate it. The Instagram is at Malcolm Ron Show, and our Twitter is at Malcolm Ron Show. Stay tuned, and we got a video out for y'all soon.
All right.